There's a valley in Kashmir. It's not only one of the most beautiful valleys in there, but then it also gives a glimpse of the mountains that lie beyond our border in POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir. It's a landscape that feels is totally out of a fairy tale, at least until now it hasn't been destroyed the way Sonmarg and Gulmarg is. Gurez. When I just thought Gurez was untouched, there was yet another, more pristine and untouched, Tulail. Apart from its stunning beauty, Gurez Valley has an interesting story attached to its iconic landmark, the Khatoon peak. Before we get to the tragic love story, let's first see how to reach the valley in the first place. Dawar is the main town in the valley and it's about 125 kilometers north of Srinagar. The journey to the valley is as beautiful as the valley itself. First you cross the eastern banks of the stunning Ular Lake. So what's more beautiful is you get to see the lake from an elevated vantage point. So if you cross the lake before noon, it shines like crystal blue and green all around. See, there's a small dhaba right next to the viewpoint. Having a chai with a bird's eye view of the Ular Lake is probably the best way to start a journey as beautiful as this one. Soon after the lake, heading north, you start climbing the Razdan Pass. So it's a beautiful hilltop with uninterrupted view of mountains all around, and you get to pass through deodar forest. See, the best part is even though the passes in Kashmir are not as high as the ones in Ladakh, they hold snow much longer into the summer. So you have a good chance of having adequate snow at least until the end of May. And if the snowfall during winter is adequate, you probably would see snow maybe even into June or maybe early July. Locals tell me that the pass gets opened around early to mid-April once the BRO clears accumulated snow. So if you're planning a Kashmir trip during peak winter, like between December to March or January to March, you might not be able to reach Gurez Valley as the pass is likely to be snow-laden and hence closed. Once you get down the northern side of the pass, you reach Dawar, the largest settlement in the valley in about 40 kilometers. You would see a large dam and from there the road trails the river, and between end of May till August, which is spring followed by monsoon in the valley, you get to see the fluorescent green grass with alpine deodars poking here and there. See, in recent days, Dawar has become popular for camps and tents on the riverside, but then don't count on it for your accommodation if you are planning a visit to the valley, because from 2024, I think August, the authorities have banned camping because of excessive littering all around the river. I ain't sure if this is going to be a temporary ban or it goes indefinitely. There aren't many hotels and resorts in Gurez Valley except one or two. So as of now, you majorly got to rely on homestays. Once you are in Dawar, the most iconic viewpoint is Khandiyal Top. It's a small hillock. It's about 2 kilometers from the town that gives you a breathtaking view of the entire valley. So you can see all the way from the dam to way beyond the Habba Khatoon peak into Tulail Valley. The sunrise and sunset from Khandiyal Viewpoint is something you really don't want to miss. At the far end of Dawar, you have the iconic landmark of Gurez Valley, the Habba Khatoon peak. Wherever you stand in the valley, this monumental pyramid is always in view. You cannot miss it. When you see the valley surrounded by lush green mountains all around, the bare rock pyramid stands right at the northern end, contrasting everything else that you see there. As extraordinary as the peak itself is a story attached to the bare rock massif. It starts with its namesake, Khatoon, the nightingale of Kashmir. A young girl was born in the village of Pampor in Kashmir. The just born was so beautiful that her parents named her Zoon, which means moon in the local language. She showed great affinity in poetry since childhood, and it only grew with her. She was unfortunately married to a peasant who was oppressive, especially to her inclination towards literature and poetry. She largely led an unhappy life, but that was until she got the attention of Yusuf Shah Chak, the last known independent king of Kashmir during that time, which is like 16th century. There are many stories on how they met, but the most widely accepted story goes like this. Zun always wrote and sang to nature, wandering amongst the mountains and streams in the valley. Once, while she was singing by the riverside, Shah saw her for the first time, and then love at first sight, and eventually he got married to her. After becoming the queen, he was encouraging of her wit and exceptional poetry. He promoted her songs all over Kashmir, and then she became the darling of Kashmir itself, or in other words called Habba Khatoon. The fairy tale love story took a tragic turn in the form of Akbar, the emperor. Shah was invited to Akbar's court once and eventually got betrayed and then imprisoned for a long time. And then later Akbar exiled Shah to Bihar. Devastated by the tragedy, she left the palace and wandered amongst the mountains singing poems as she did before as a young girl. After Shah's departure, her poetry reflected more on grief and suffering, and legend says one day she stepped into the Kishanganga river beneath the peak that was named after her, Habba Khatoon. Since then, the peak is seen as a tomb and a symbol of Kashmiri poetry and literature. Most people reach Dawar late afternoon, visiting the Khandiyal top and start back to Srinagar the next morning. Gurez is one of the most beautiful valleys in Kashmir, without doubt. But then the actual beauty lies beyond. There is a valley that is more remote and enchanting than Gurez itself, which is closer to the LOC. Tulail Valley. The landscape and the people of Tulail are nothing short of a fragment of Gilgit, Baltistan in POK. Right now we are in Tulail. Tulail is about 55 to 60 kilometers from Gurez. So the river that you see here is the Kishanganga. It actually flows from Pakistan. So the landscapes you see here, Tulail is one of the very few places where you get a glimpse of the Azad Kashmir, the Balochistan sort of landscapes. So Balochistan is right in the middle where the Himalayas takes a turn and bends, if you see in the map. So what happens is you get, because of that, you have everything in one place. See, for example, if you see here, you have the barren granite peaks on that side, and then you have the alpine forest, the deodar forest, and then the grassland and a river. You get all sorts of the Himalayan landscapes in one scene. So that's the sort of landscapes the Azad Kashmir in Pakistan's vastly got, and the Gurez Valley is what's beyond the Gurez Valley gives a glimpse of what it is out there. Apart from the grand alpine landscapes, as you cross through the village of Tulail, you either feel like you've gone back in time or you entered some fairy tale novel. See, homes are made up of Kashmiri willows dotting the mountains. The construction of the houses and the entire settlement itself, they merge with the landscapes, unlike the ones that we have in the cities, which stick out like sore thorns. If you are willing to explore, the journey takes you beyond Tulail as well, all the way to the LOC at Chakwali. Chakwali is roughly about 25 kilometers from Tulail village. See, in the mountains there is one rule of the thumb. As the scenery becomes more beautiful, the road becomes more challenging. Beyond Gurez, the roads are pretty broken at most places, and as you get past Tulail, you have to deal with complete off-road, and of course you have two major water crossing to deal with. See, now as a disclaimer, this was during June 2024. The BRO is building roads as if it is on a race with someone. Of course they are on a race with China, so the roads definitely will get a lot better in the coming years. And then you finally reach Chakwali, the northernmost LOC point where you are allowed. See, when I headed past Tulail, I wasn't sure till which point the military will allow civilians, because unlike Keren or Mashil, you do not need inner line permits to get to Chakwali. So you'll have to make an entry with your original Aadhaar cards though, and as of 2024, only Indian citizens holding a valid Indian ID card are allowed till Chakwali. So Chakwali and then back to Gurez and then to Srinagar. So you covered one LOC point. The others, they are coming up in the following weeks. So stay tuned. See you in another video. Until then, travel more, travel safe. See you, buddy.